Welcome to this Factora workshop about how to earn more, work less, and create more freedom now, which is really just my checklist for how to live your best life. So I am curious, as all of you start joining this Zoom room, if you can head over to the chat, let me know where you're calling in from today. I need to find the chat myself. Oh, here it is. Okay. LA, oh, wow, they're flying in. Virginia Beach, California, Kansas, Atlanta, Santa Monica, Colorado, Vermont, Tampa, Toronto. We always get some Canadians. I love that. Okay, Vancouver, so many. It's wonderful to see you all. If this is your first ever Factora webinar, super welcome, because we love adding new women into this space. Factora is a financial education company for women, created by women, and everything we do here surrounding money is vulnerable, judgment-free, and a place to learn and share and get more resourced. So feel free to get interactive in the chat throughout this presentation. We're going to be throwing some polls up on the screen for you to answer. They're anonymous, so answer them honestly. Share your money experience as it's relevant to the presentation, and it's the holidays. Share your uplifting comments with one another. My team is going to be in the chat with you, but we are going to reserve some time at the end for Q&A. So if you do have questions throughout the presentation that you want me to answer, please don't put them in the chat. Put them in the question area so we can be sure to get to them. All right, let's dive in. So we're going to kick it off with a poll, which should be coming your way now. What are you doing to enjoy your money this holiday season? Are you primarily traveling, relaxing, entertaining, or hanging with the fam? So get those results in. And I truly love the concept of always enjoying our money. We work really hard to earn our money. So of course we want to spend it in line with our values. And I truly believe that money is the best tool we have to build the life we want. And I know firsthand just how possible this is for women, because I'm seeing the Factora women in our community do this on a daily basis. But it's not the default. Did you know 30% of Americans stress about their finances frequently, including people stressing about inflation? Because I know we are seeing that cut into our holiday budgets right now. The plane flights are astronomical. And you might also not know that a third of American women report significant stress over not having a clear retirement strategy, which is a terrible feeling, coupled with all the layoffs and job uncertainty right now. And so that's not helpful this holiday season. But I'm wondering about you. How often do you personally stress about money? And this can be anything from feeling guilty about how much you spent over the weekend to feeling anxious about not saving enough or seeing enough in your accounts. So is it daily, weekly, monthly, or rarely ever? And I want you to really pause and think about it. How often does financial stress creep up in your life? And I used to be the first one to feel guilty every Monday after my weekend retail therapy. So just get those answers in and let's see your results. All right. About a third of you daily, 40% weekly, 20% monthly. So basically we're all in the frequent stress category. I'm not surprised, but here's what I really want to know. If that's how often you stress about money, then how often do you take the time to learn about money, personal finance, investing, wealth building? Another poll's popping up, and it's the same choices as before. So are you looking up how to optimize your 401ks, or figuring out how to raise your credit score, or keeping up with the Fed rate increases that affect lending rates? Like, how often are you actually taking the time to educate yourself about money? Let's see. Okay, so now we've shifted more to the rarely ever. About 80% of you are not doing this so often, not on the regular. But the good news is you're here today, so you all get some bonus points. It is my diehard belief that learning about something is the antidote for stressing about that very thing that's causing you anxiety, because it is what can alleviate the overwhelm, the confusion, the frustration about a topic you're unsure of. So when surveyed, 4 out of 5 adults say they were never given the opportunity to learn about personal finance. And this is not surprising because this is not a requirement in schools. And most of us really don't get a solid financial education or maybe even conversations at home about something we go on to use every single day of our lives. So if we're not getting a quality education around personal finance, how are we supposed to become good with our personal finances in our adult life, right? This is why Factora exists. We are the personal finance education and investment community for women that should have existed all along, but we're here now. So Factora has been around for 5 years, helping women raise their net worth faster than they thought was possible, because we have this beautiful trifecta in place that helps women become incredible stewards of their money. And that's education, community, and accountability. So, going to share a little secret with you. Nothing bad happens when women have more money. When women have more money, when you have more money, the economy thrives, GDP grows, nonprofits get funded, startups that we care about get created, families are better off. So women learning to build wealth literally helps make the world become a better place for all of us. So here at Factora, our mission is simple. We're leading 1 million women to 1 million in net worth. I'm excited to let you know we are well on our way. We have women crossing the millionaire threshold on a weekly basis. Here is Victoria sharing in our Slack community. We have this Money Wins channel that is very inspiring, that she increased her net worth by $800,000 after learning how to invest her savings that was sitting in cash by opening a brokerage account, learning how to purchase I-bonds, maxing out her 401ks, starting college funds for her kids, and most importantly, sticking to the investment strategy she created, even as the market dipped and dived. So I don't know if you all know this, but the stock market's up 21% year to date. And while it was down in October, it's been on a tear since then. And it's important to have a community where you can learn about this and then talk about this with other women who understand what it means. So, you know, she crossed this millionaire mark because not just how she learned to invest in the Wealth Circle, but really leaning on this community to keep her motivated and supported as things were happening in the market. So, you know, I'm very excited for her. But who am I? I'm Allegra, founder and CEO of Factora. I hail from Miami, but I currently live in Austin, Texas. I started my career in New York, but I am here in Austin now with my husband, horse-sized dog, and baby daughter. And I am definitely recovering from a bad relationship with money in my 20s because I had no education or quality skill sets around my money. I got really good in my 20s at making money, but I was just as good at spending it. So it wasn't until I was in my 30s before I actually started building solid financial habits and beginning to invest. So I mentioned that because I want you to know it's never too late. I have raised my net worth from negative to over 1 million in 5 years by simply practicing what I preach and what I teach in a Factora Wealth Circle. So the reason I created the Wealth Circle is because I did that journey alone and it sucked. And I'm watching women move way faster than me because they have this community in place. So in this workshop, I'm going to show you why money is this literally incredible tool we have to build the world we want to see around us. And we're going to talk through how to earn more, work less, and create more freedom now. So how can we earn more? First things first, if you want to have more money, it starts with understanding your financial picture. And I want to build that out for you because sometimes it's hard to understand how all the pieces work together when they're siloed, and we were never really taught how to view our financial life holistically. We just kind of got to work, got a bank account, got a savings account, got credit cards, got car loans. We have all these financial components, but this is how your financial picture actually works. So typically most people make their income through a job. And we call this active income because you're actually going out and exchanging your time and effort for money. And then with that income, we have a choice. We can spend it or we can save it. And I know y'all know how easy it is to spend. And oftentimes that's what we do. We immediately spend that money on items we've tethered ourselves to, like loans. Maybe it's a car loan, maybe it's credit card payments or some sort of subscription service, right? But when our money flows out to liabilities that we've obligated ourselves to, that cash is lost, requiring us to go out and earn more of that cash. And really, y'all, this is the rat race, and this is why Factora exists. We want to lift women up out of that constant need to replenish and spend and replenish and spend. Because when you're on this hamster wheel that so many people get on for 50-year-long career spans, what they typically do with their money is what I call the traditional savings equation. So upon receiving your income, you first choose to spend it on things you want. The car, the consumer items, that, right? We just talked about, you were swiping the credit card, those Instagram targeted one-click purchase ads that give us immediate gratification, but later guilt. They're rough, I get it. But after buying the things we want, we have to pay for the things we need, right? The necessities, the food, the shelter, the electricity, the Wi-Fi, the insurance. But only after those lifestyle and living expenses do most people save their money. And that's if they even have any money left over to save. So basically, this is how we get caught in that paycheck to paycheck cycle, where even if you're paying off your credit cards in full each month, this is you if you don't have enough money to actually save and grow. And sadly, more than half of America lives this way. I did too. Even when I was making the big bucks working in NYC, every time I made more money, my lifestyle expenses increased instead of my savings and investments. And so I told myself that was okay for a while. But in order to actually build wealth, you have to stop saving what is left after spending and instead spend what is left after saving first and foremost. This is what millionaires do. They pay themselves first. And it's actually a really easy shift. You're just going to flip the traditional savings equation into the millionaire equation by doing one thing. And that's paying yourself first. So watch this little piggy, move on over. And this one tiny tweak can make such a massive difference, right? Because now when your income hits your bank account, you immediately save first before you start spending on those living needs or lifestyle wants. Nowadays, we have access to automation, which means every bank account can do this for you and for free. So you 100% need to be utilizing this. And this is the first thing women in Factora do. They set up auto deposits from checking to savings and investments the day after their income hits so that future you, millionaire you, is paid first before a dollar is spent on current day you. So I want to know, true or false, who here currently pays themselves first? And really think about that, because if you are not someone who has one of these automations set up to make sure you are paying future you before spending on current you got to do this. And you can do this today. And it's going to change your life. And I'm purposely being dramatic about this because it's going to have a dramatic effect on not just your finances, but your mindset, because it will prove to you that you are a financially smart steward of your money? Okay, we got about half and half. So half of you have homework. All right, future you is going to thank you big time when your accounts are nice and full. All right, now we found a way to keep more of our own money simply by applying the concept of paying ourselves first, which right there allows us to earn more without having to work more. But then how can we actually work less? Because we all want to do that too, am I right? Let's keep building out our financial picture. Because we talked about how money comes in from our job and we have that choice. Are we going to spend or are we going to save it? And if we prioritize saving it because we pay ourselves first now, we can actually do more than just store it in cash. Now we have the ability to move that money over to the opportunity section of our financial picture. And in the opportunity section, it is all about getting your money invested in assets. And we want our money in assets because when we put our money into something of value, those assets can produce additional income while taking up less of our time. Because we're exchanging our money for money instead of actively exchanging our time for money like we do at a job. So this is a double whammy. This is a double whammy, y'all. I get so excited about this because literally the definition of investing is buying assets. And that is what allows us to earn more and work less at the same time. All we have to do is learn how to invest and do it. So I repeat, investing is what allows us to earn more and work less at the same time. So let me show you why investing is critical to wealth building. If you take a look at this X and Y axis, on the X axis, we have time, right? We're living our life and the years are going to pass by no matter what we do with our money. And on the Y axis, we have money. So if you have a job, which is that active income, you are going throughout your career and you have the opportunity to save some of your money and live below your means. And that's a very linear path of growth, right? Depicted by the pink line. But if we buy assets, which give us access to passive income, which does not take up our time, by investing, then it opens us up to exponential growth, depicted by the green line. So I know investing gets a very bad rap, and there are so many people who think it's gambling or dangerous or scary. And I realize that it is intimidating at first because I've been there, I went through it. But once you understand the fundamentals, it is not. It is not scary. It is not overwhelming. It is not hard. But it is the key to increasing our net worth. So we can't just save money in cash. That's never going to grow exponentially. All right. So putting the full picture together, here is how your income, liabilities, and assets work together to form your financial picture, or really just your choice, whether or not to direct the money that you earn to more obligations or more opportunities, right? So more liabilities we take on, the more stuck we get on the pink side, and the more assets we learn to invest in, the more opportunity we have to get access to that passive income and build more wealth on the opportunity side, right? So we really do have a choice, and I built you this pretty graphic of a desert wasteland and a beautiful beach to really help you visualize your options and where we should be spending more of our time. And I also just want to note that your job is on the obligation side, because until you do learn how to invest in assets that can throw off passive income, that can start to afford your life for you, you have to exchange your time for money to be able to afford your life. So this is how we get off that hamster wheel, right? Like we literally learn how to give ourselves more opportunity through investing. And once you do this, you can put yourself on a path to reaching financial freedom way earlier than retirement age, which I love because it really puts us in the driver's seat of our financial life. Okay, but I really want to drive home why you can't save your way to wealth and why I understand that saving feels much safer, especially for women. It felt safer for me initially. Again, I didn't start investing until I was in my 30s. And so many women that I see come into Factora have a lot of money in savings, way less in investments in a lot of cases. Now there's all sorts of profiles, but that's just something I see happen a lot. But let's compare how it would look if you started with $10,000 today and then added $1,000 a month for the next 30 years to both a savings account and a stock market account, right? We're going to compare and contrast these. So the saver in this case would earn $63,000 in interest if it was a 1% interest rate. That's after 30 years of diligently saving $1,000 a month, which means you saved $370,000 yourself and you only made $60,000 in interest. But the investor, on the other hand, could generate over $1 million in returns, assuming a typical annual average rate of return of 8% that we see in the stock market, net of inflation. And we talk all about that in the Wealth Circle. Both have contributed the same amount of money over 30 years. But look what happens in the end. The saver ends up with less than $500,000, and the investor ends up with closer to $1.5 million, simply from learning how and where to put her money and getting access to compound returns from those assets. So here's a horizontal visual of what that stock market investor's account looks like on the inside. So the pink is representing the principal contributions of that $1,000 being added per month annually, right? It's like a steady amount. The green bars, on the other hand, shows the additional income to her account from her investment returns. And if you note, by year 15, she's got more money coming in from her investment returns that it actually exceeds the amount of cash being contributed, and it just goes exponential from there. This is the power of compounding returns. This is the power of investing, and this is why all women should and can be doing it. Okay, so this is where I usually feel people on the call being like, well, Allegra, what if I don't have enough money to invest? And that is a great question. And here's my response. If you have enough money to spend on anything you love, then you absolutely have enough money to spend on you and future you security. Because I hope you love you a lot and wanting to make the best life for yourself by putting in some work now, right? So if you really don't have the extra cash, you could always figure out ways to earn additional money, whether that's a side hustle, and put that money towards investing, right? Like, I just don't want this to be an excuse, because you really don't need a high salary to be a great investor. Allow me to prove why. Let's say you make $250,000 salary, but you also live a $250,000 lifestyle. In 10 or 30 years from now, if you have not prioritized investing, you'll have empty accounts. This was literally me for my entire 20s. I was like, I'll make more and then I'll do it. I'll make more and then I'll figure it out. I'll make more and then I'll hire a financial advisor to do it for me. No. Someone who's earning just $50,000 salary, but if they commit to investing 10% of that, or $5,000 a year, which may not sound like a lot, in 10 years, they'd have $90,000 after only investing $50K themselves. So basically they doubled the amount they've contributed. And then in 30 years, they'd have nearly $1 million, all from investing only $5,000 a year. So, and this isn't even taking into account the salary increases that they could have, which would obviously allow them to increase the amount they're investing year over year. So this could be well over $1 million, right? And so I hope this is really hitting home. All right, we talked about how to earn more of your own money by paying yourselves first, like millionaires do. Set up those automations. We've talked about how to earn more and work less by learning how to invest your money so you can take advantage of compound returns and that sweet, sweet passive income. And now let's talk about how to create more freedom now, okay? Allow me to introduce you to Factora's financial framework. It is similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's what we teach in the Wealth Circle, our 12-week personal finance and investment course for women. If you want to start enjoying your money, it is important to get these bottom 4 steps in order working for you ASAP. These are the boring basics that give you an incredibly strong foundation to be investing from. And you really should not skip them, even though so many people try. Step one, you need to eliminate or at least make a plan for your high interest debt. Step two, I don't recommend budgeting. It's like dieting. It's restrictive. It doesn't work. We bust. We don't do it. And we get that fuck it attitude. And then suddenly we're way overspending. Instead, you can start spending based on your values. A values-based spending approach is so simple. It's like a filter for like whether I should buy that thing or whether I should not, whether I can contribute more to my savings and investments or not. Step three, fill an emergency fund. Emergencies are going to happen. They're already going to be stressful. Let's not let the money be stressful too. And then step four, we have to clarify our near-term goals and get automations and accounts set up for those too. After these four steps, it is all about investing, like we just talked about, to bring your mid and long-term goals into reach. And this is the real power of the Wealth Circle, because we teach you the 3 asset classes you can use to build your wealth. Paper assets, or the stock market that I just used in the past few examples, is only one. There's also real estate and business. All right, so I'm going to layer the Factora financial framework over your financial picture. So when you remove obligations to high interest debt, you can free up more money for that opportunity side. When you understand and start spending in line with your values, you can stop spending on things that aren't in support of your goals and free up more money for the opportunity side. When you have an emergency fund set up, you can live stress-free, knowing that whatever's going to come up, you've got the cash on hand prepared. When you have your near-term savings and automations in place, you can feel confident that your near-term goals are going to happen. And then when those basics are all checked off, you can focus on the investing for mid and long-term goals and literally start living in the opportunity section and feeling like a badass, because this is all it takes, like 4 steps, and then understanding how to invest your money. And then we're really just working towards that beautiful peak of financial freedom where you don't even have to exchange your time for money, because you've already spent so much time learning how to exchange your money for money. So that is what it looks like. Oh, okay, yeah. So answer me honestly, what step of Factora's financial framework are you currently on? And there's no wrong answer here. We're all in different places of our financial journeys. I'm just wondering, are you focused on eliminating debt, filling your emergency fund, still need to get those saving for near-term goals in place, or are you already doing those things so you are focused on the investing tier? All right, get those answers in. All right. Hell yeah, 40% of you are already in the investing section. I love it. But don't feel bad no matter where you are. Factora is here to help. So to inspire you to work on these, I did want to just share a few Factora women. Oh, my computer's gonna die. Sorry, y'all. We're back in business. Who cross these basics off their list so they could move on to the investing side of things. And I want you to see how it went for them. So Erin was someone who got to Factora and had almost 70,000 in debt. And she went from that to designing her dream life. She was not investing when she started because she felt like this debt was swallowing her. And she quickly put a plan in place and paid it off. And then she was able to start investing like over 50% of her income, which so many people are like, that can't be true. I watch women do it all the time when they see how much of a difference it can make, even if they just do it for a couple of years. Other things she did is she got really obsessed with business investing. She moved back to her small hometown and built 2 businesses that are generating passive income for her, which allowed her and her husband to go on a 3-month trip to Europe just a few months ago. And so she raised her net worth to $330,000 nowadays. And then Gail, when she took her Wealth Circle, like most of us, she had no financial plan other than wanting to pay off her student loans. She felt like those were a really heavy weight on her shoulder. But since then, she's figured out a plan for her student loans, reduced them significantly, and then really recognized that she actually wanted to be a mother that only worked part-time, all of which she's been able to accomplish. So she did a lot of prep for baby with her savings and near-term goals. Her and her husband got a rental property for additional passive income, and they increased their household net worth by $780,000, crossing the millionaire mark since taking her Wealth Circle in 2019. Annie is someone who's experiencing major burnout from her corporate job. So she actually decided to break from W-2 life and create her own business. She started 2 businesses that didn't work, but she kept going and eventually opened up a food truck park in Boise, Ohio. And by year 3, she's fully replaced $160,000 W-2 salary and made $225,000 in profit. But more importantly, she has ultimate flexibility over her work and the hours she wants. Okay, so what do all these women have in common besides earning more and working less? Well, they have all built more freedom into their lives by learning how to invest. So I'm just curious if you currently have an investment strategy in place to pull you closer to financial freedom. Are you a yes, I can almost taste the freedom? Are you a kind of, I'm working on investing more, getting more comfortable there? Or are you a no, and you know you need to create an investment strategy for yourself? What are the results? All right, half of you are no, you got to get this done. This is so important. I honestly believe that there is nothing better you can do with your time, especially as a woman, than to understand investment fundamentals so that you feel good about doing it and can start doing more of it. Because I assure you, you are completely capable of being a superb female investor. All right. So let's fast forward and just imagine for a minute what financial freedom could look like for you. Have you actually ever stopped to think about what it might look like? And forget look like, feel like if you didn't have to get up and go to work tomorrow because you didn't need a job to afford your life because you learned how to invest, and those investment passive income streams could actually afford your life for you. If you have done this work, please feel free to share it in the chat so I can look at it later. And if not, I get it. Most of us do not take the time to slow down and put a framework to this, which is exactly why we do this together in a Factora Wealth Circle. And so I think it's really hard to kind of stop in our very busy lives and actually intuit what it could look like if we had more freedom. So for some of us, that means traveling the world and, you know, living out of a suitcase. And for others, it means down throttling from full-time work to part-time to spend more time with aging parents or starting a new family. The cool thing is that it actually looks different for everyone, and it should. We're all different. So real wealth is not about the money. It's about the freedom. Money is just the tool we use to access that freedom. So depending where you are in the framework, Factora's got you covered. If you're working on the bottom sections of the pyramid, we have a course called 6-Figure Savings. It's self-directed. It's about 10 hours, and it helps you address debt, budgeting, but really values-based spending, getting an emergency fund set up, and saving for near-term goals. If you are more focused on investing, either starting investing, doing more investing, or becoming more confident with your investing, and you really want to increase your net worth significantly, then the Wealth Circle is our live online 12-week course that will run again this spring, starting in February. It goes from February to May, and it gives you access to our amazing female investor community. And so in the Wealth Circle, we're going to teach you how to invest. You're going to learn how to create additional income streams. And you are going to put yourself on a path to financial freedom like those 3 women I gave you an example of, because I just don't want anybody waiting till the typical retirement age to enjoy their life. Like, that makes no sense. But I get that we didn't get this financial education. And so our jobs are like, yeah, throw a little money in your 401k. Hopefully it's enough. we'll see. And I hate that. I would rather you take the power into your hands and sharpen those investing skills. So if you know that 2024 is the year that you want to level up and understand investing, then we are actually opening back up our Black Friday deal for the next 24 hours only, which means you can use code Black Friday to take $250 off of the Wealth Circle course and ensure your spot to the spring Wealth Circle. It also means you'll get six-figure savings for free. So if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't know which one, I definitely could work on the foundational pieces before getting to investing. You can get that course done in 10 hours and be ready for the Wealth Circle starting in February. So I'm going to just mention two things here. One, the Wealth Circle always sells out. No guarantees how much space we will have come January when we let our waitlist join. We had a lot of women join for Black Friday. The only reason we're doing this again is because I get it. Like, we go and spend on everyone else this season, and I think that you deserve to spend on yourself for what is going to make residuals for years to come. The other thing I'll say, we typically run the Wealth Circle twice a year, but next year I'm family planning. So we are only running it once next year, and it'll be the spring Wealth Circle. Okay, also worth mentioning, the reason why women in our community who take the Wealth Circle have seen such success is because we do it in community. This is the secret sauce. Having other women that you surround yourself with that are investing and talking about the stock market and buying houses, sometimes together, and building businesses gives you so much motivation and inspiration and clarity that it is possible for you too. So beyond the wealth building lessons and all the personalized financial tools and spreadsheets that come with the Wealth Circle, the real beauty is the community. So we don't just get on calls, we match you one-on-one with accountability partners, and then you have lifetime access to our 2,000 plus female investor community. And if you're actually just brand new here or looking for some free financial content, we got plenty of that too. You can follow us on Instagram for bite-sized personal finance and investing tips, or subscribe to our Coffee and Coin podcast, where I interview real women on how they built their investment portfolios, their successes and their setbacks. And we also have a bunch of deep dive episodes on specific financial topics. So if you want to learn more about HSAs or environmentally, socially responsible investing or maxing out 401ks, we got all that there too. All right, last poll for you before we get to Q&A. Who wants to create more freedom in their life right now? This should be a doozy, y'all, because if I did anything today, I hope that I helped you realize that the key to freedom is through investing. So the most powerful way to be investing more is to learn how to do it and get going. Because the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get and the more you will grow your confidence around it. And obviously, hang out with us at Factora. We are a whole community dedicated to women investing more. All right, yay. Basically all of you want more freedom. Who doesn't? All right, now I would like to turn it over to you lovely listeners and get as many of your questions answered as possible. So if Taylor from my team can jump on for some Q&A.
Hello. Okay, thanks, Allegra, and thank you guys all for your incredible questions. We do have a bunch of them, so we're going to get through as many as we can in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And if we don't get to yours, you can either email us at info@factorawealth.com, or we'll try to follow up directly if we have your email in Zoom. That being said, we're going to kick it off with a few questions about emergency funds. So kind of starting down at the bottom of our framework. So I got 3 questions for you. First one, how much should we have an emergency fund, or how do we go about thinking about how much we should have in an emergency fund?
Okay, I'm putting back up the frameworks. We can all look at it together.
Perfect.
Okay, emergency funds. So in the Wealth Circle, we actually help you determine there's no perfect, right? This is an art and a science, but the emergency fund number for you, because there's a lot of things to consider. Like, do you have dependents? Do you have the proper amount of insurance? Job type. Are you in a job that's really easy if you were to be let go to find another job, or is it very niche and it might take a longer amount of time? But anyone on this call can start by at least tallying up your fixed monthly expenses. So how much do those required things cost, right? You got to have somewhere to live. You got to have food to eat, maybe not restaurants, but groceries. You got to pay your cell phone bill, electricity, etc. What are those fixed monthly expenses? Multiply that by a minimum of 3, preferably 6, if you want to pad it, and then get that money put into a high yield savings account. And do it as soon as possible, because truly, people don't always recognize emergencies, but emergency could be someone in your family having a crisis and you need to fly across the country tomorrow and it's very expensive and you're paying a premium. That's an emergency. And if you have money put aside, you don't have to throw it on a credit card. I mean, you can, but you have money to pay it off right away. So write out your fixed expenses, multiply it by 3 to 6, and put that money in a high yield savings account to start. If you want a more accurate number, and also your emergency fund should get updated as you go through different life phases, such as adding dependents. We have an emergency fund calculator inside the course.
Beautiful. Okay, part 2 of our emergency fund questions. Once you have an emergency fund, and I know people in the Well Circle struggle with this too, but like, how do you determine what is actually a quote unquote emergency and when to pull from that fund versus like how to know when you're just dipping into it for our other expenses?
Totally. This is why it's really important to have that values-based spending filter, because that helps you get clarity on what an emergency is, right? Like, it's not buying the dress to the holiday party if that's not in your value set, right? It is the plane ticket that you need to buy this week to see a family member because they're sick or need your help, right? And so emergencies are going to look different to everyone based on our value sets, but that's why it's so nice to have that filter to use, and definitely use your common sense. But don't beat yourself up about it. Like, literally, I define an emergency as something I need to pay for that was not planned for, right? So like, if my dog eats a Tootsie Roll off the street and needs stomach surgery, that wasn't planned for, but it's definitely in my value set to make sure that my family is in good health and I'm going to pay for a surgery. And so on top of that being stressful, I don't have to stress about the money because I have money available to pay for that. And then you just refill your emergency fund. And that's another thing I just want to mention here. So many women come into the Well Circle, get an emergency fund in place, feel so good about it. They're like, oh my God, I have it. Finally, great. And then they have to spend it. And they're like, oh shit, I don't want to spend it. I love seeing that money there. And it's like, that's what it's there for. You just set up a new automation to get it refilled as fast as possible. And then you're ready for the next emergency.
Perfect. Okay, last kind of part of these questions for emergency savings. How do we think about balancing filling your emergency fund versus start investing? The woman who asked this question specifically in their mid-40s, but just like generally as well.
Yeah, this is such a great question. So in our 6-figure saving course, if you're someone who is struggling with making a plan for your debt, and I want to be so clear, debt is not bad. Too many people out there on the internet say debt is bad. All wealthy people utilize debt to leverage additional assets, right? Like, that is how they acquire more businesses, more residential or commercial real estate. They get loans, right? Debt without a plan is bad, not just debt. Okay. So I just want to make that nuanced thing. But we have this debt quadrant inside the 6-figure savings course because we want to help people to determine if they do have that high interest debt, which is very different than low interest debt, which we go through. whether they should be paying the minimums on that debt, or making sure that they're contributing to an emergency fund. Basically, you always want to have at least 50% of your emergency fund accessible. Otherwise, you get into that slippery slope of the emergency pops up before you have the money available, and now you're overextended. So to answer her question specifically, and I don't know if she is dealing with debt, but if you're just considering emergency fund and investing, it's still a priority. Like, you want to get that emergency fund there quickly, because if you were to invest your emergency fund, and I've seen women come into the Wealth Circle who literally have no cash because they're over invested, and they're like, oh, I'm going to calm down on the investing for a little bit to fill up an emergency fund, because what you wouldn't want to do is have an emergency come up and need to actually divest from your investments earlier than you plan to, because even though you can, you might be taking a penalty if it is an investment inside of a tax advantaged retirement account, or even if it's just inside of a taxable brokerage account. You, depending on whether you have gains or losses, or it's within a shorter or a longer period, so short-term capital gains or long-term capital gains, there's going to be a tax, it's going to be a taxable event. So on top of extracting your money, you have to pay taxes in addition. And so that's why in the Wealth Circle, we talk so much about how to have the right accounts set up for these different levels of the framework. And like, everybody wants to make sure we have the retirement accounts, sure, and the saving and checking accounts, absolutely, but we still need additional accounts in between those to utilize for different things. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That's a good way to just kind of think
You
about
can
all the
do,
pieces.
yeah, you can do both, but it's so dependent on your personal finances. That's why we like go through your personal stuff in the Wealth Circle.
Totally. All right, moving right along to investing. We had a couple people kind of voice just like their concern over just managing risk with investing, and that's kind of the one thing that's really been holding them back. So how do you think about combating risk with like the potential gains of investing in the stock market?
Okay. Y'all aren't going to like this, but it's the truth. The definition of investing is putting capital at risk. Period, the end. But no risk, no reward. And that's for our entire life, right? Like, if you don't risk like starting a family, you can't have one. If you don't risk going down a career path, you can't possibly get that job, right? We do this in other places, but for some reason, when it comes to money, we get really, really scared about mitigating risk. But here's the other truth. Not investing is far more risky than investing. And here's why. When you're investing your money, you get access to additional income streams like we talked about, right? When you're not investing your money, you're solely dependent on one, typically, unless maybe you have a side hustle, on one job for your entire financial livelihood. And that is why that is far more risky to do without investing. And so I know that's a bit of a mindset shift, but we talk about that a lot in the Wealth Circle. And then people are like, oh, I get it. Like, just to depend on one income stream is far more risky than to separate it out and have multiple.
Yeah. Okay, kind of on that same line, can you talk about how in the Wealth Circle we help people set goals around their investments and around specific investment accounts?
Yes. So basically how the Wealth Circle works is we start with your mindset, because everything starts with your mindset. If you don't believe that you can be a good investor and deserve to be wealthy, we've already lost you. So we're going to do some work there. Then we are going to teach you the fundamentals of how the stock market works, of how real estate investing works, and of how business investing works. And in each of those, if you have a business, real estate, or stock market accounts, you're going to dissect them and see what you're already invested in. What does your portfolio look like today, and where are there missing pieces? Then, after you've learned about all three asset classes, you are going to figure out what your personal life goals are, right? And no one can know that better than you. You know if you want to start a family in 5 years. You know if you want to buy a beach house tomorrow. Like, you know these things. And so we have to extract those because they have a typically every goal has a financial amount associated with it. You just need to do a little research to figure that out. So then once we know the goals and we can prioritize them and have timelines to them, that's when we can understand which accounts and which asset classes we can use to pursue those goals. And I
Perfect.
also just want to go back to the investing being risky. All three asset classes are different. They have different risk characteristics. And a lot of times women come in thinking that the stock market is really the bulk of investing and the riskiest. And they realize when you understand how to put together a diversified portfolio with the right asset allocation for your risk profile, it really isn't that risky at all. That is why, think about it, that is why in your careers, having your employers give you access to accounts like 401ks, 403bs, is for you to prepare for your future retirement needs. Like they're offering you the stock market because it's the least risky than helping you figure out real estate investing or business investing. So I'm just saying that because so many women come in thinking, holy shit, the stock market is my problem. That's where all the problems are. And then they're like, this is actually pretty boring. I don't know why I waited so long to do this. If you know how to put together a portfolio of diversified funds that are low cost, you can be doing that in a few weeks and feel great about it. Then you just need to check on it, rebalance it, etc.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, you kind of touched on the content of the Wealth Circle, or you did touch on the content of the Wealth Circle, but can you just give us a high level rundown of the format of the course, when the live sessions are, and what that looks like as well?
Totally. So the course has all of this content. So the six-figure savings really deep dives the bottom, but we still go over the bottom in the Wealth Circle because a lot of people don't take six-figure savings. They're ready to invest. Then we do the bulk on the asset classes, and then we tie it up with your goals and creating an investment strategy to hit those goals. The course format looks like this. When you come into the Wealth Circle, you're going to have prep work. And I do want to be really, really clear here. The Wealth Circle is not, it's not easy. Like you are going to have to comb through your entire financial life. That's why it's successful and transformative, but the prep work is already going to get you to get all of your financial accounts and put them together because you need to see what are your assets, what are your liabilities. That is how you determine your net worth. And so you're going to be digging up accounts. If you've got old 401ks that you've like left at the other job that you haven't dealt with, you're going to be dealing with it. So you have a bunch of prep work before the first session. And so there are 6 sessions, and in every session, your materials load into the course portal. Every 2 weeks, we drop a session. You review the materials, both educational videos and correlating assignments, and then you wrap the session by coming to our live call. And so on that live call, we are recapping that session. We are breaking out into groups. We are talking about our personal finances. And the very first call, get ready to share your salary, your net worth, your debts. It's palm sweaty. It's fabulous. It's very cathartic too. By the way, you will bond hard with these other women because you're all there for the same purpose. And that is to become incredible stewards of your financial life. After the session, then it starts over again. And after session 3, we actually start matching you with accountability partners. And these are one-on-one meetings that you get to have with another woman in the program that you probably wouldn't have met elsewhere. We have seen these women go on to be what we call investees and literally start investing together or starting businesses together. It's beautiful when you create a very trustworthy, vulnerable space for women to level up their money and become investors together.
So true.
Okay,
real quick.
And then you have access to Slack at all times. So you can always ask questions about homework assignments or Wealth Circle materials, etc. And the conversations in there are awesome because let's say you're someone who is moving your savings from a regular savings account, getting very little APY to a high yield savings account. women are sharing their experiences with the different banks that they're using. Factora is agnostic. We don't have any relationships with anyone. We want you to get the right account structure for you, but so many women are sharing what works for them, which is really, really helpful.
Yes, it is. I'm a part of a lot of Slack groups, and obviously I'm biased, but ours is still my favorite by far. Um, okay, we have a couple more Wall Circle questions, but real quick, someone was asking about how to figure out their values to use values-based spending filter. So Liz, if you don't mind just dropping the link to our little video in the chat, if you guys want to run through that exercise, that video will walk you through exactly how to do that.
Yeah, and I also just want to say, it's so funny because obviously we get all types of women in the Wealth Circle, but I think so many people come in wanting the tools and the spreadsheets, which we have plenty of, but an exercise like the values exercise, it's very, like, what's the right word, Taylor? It's like, it's kind of squishy. Like you gotta like look inward and figure out things that delight you and things that cross your boundaries so that you can put your value set together. And I think some of the type A women are like, no, I don't want to journal about this. But when they do it, they're like, okay, this is really great because now I can just use 4 words to figure out whether or not to purchase something and
Yeah,
leave guilt at the door.
it's one of the exercises that so many people come back to and they're like, okay, this was actually incredibly helpful.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and yeah, it's great. Okay, so Wealth Circle, next question. How does it, like, if you're a freelancer, is the Wealth Circle helpful? How do you think about, or how does it help people with kind of variable income, plan their finances?
Yeah, great question. So all the spreadsheets have like examples inside and instructions on for people with variable finance or with variable income. But I do want to be very clear that the Wealth Circle is for your personal finances. This is not for business finances. So it is my belief, and this is my second company that I've started. And the first one I put down because my personal finances were a mess and I was very stressed by that. That you are going to be more successful in life and definitely in building a business that has its own finances attached to it if your personal finances are in a good place. So I think it is great for freelancers. We have a ton of women who are entrepreneurs who take the course. We have women who aren't even like earning an income right now take the course, like whether that's moms who are choosing not to work or women on mental health breaks from stressful jobs or just sabbaticals. Like it doesn't matter your financial profile. It matters that you want to learn how to make a solid financial foundation and become a confident investor. And you're willing to do the work to get there.
Willing to do the work, definitely. Okay, and then last question, I think, well, 2 more questions. I know we're running out of time, so 2 more quick questions. This one's easy. When does the spring session start?
February 7th. Is that right? Don't quote me on that.
I think that's right. It's
Okay.
somewhere right around there. But yeah, in February, like Allegra said, today for the next 24 hours open. This is the last time we'll offer the $250 off at all this year. So if you're interested, definitely take advantage of that. Otherwise, main enrollment is going to be in January, and then the course will start in February.
Yeah, I just got confirmation. It starts February 7th and it ends May 1st. So it's basically 3 months. And it's a lot of work, but it's very worth it. And when you buy the Wealth Circle, you get 6-figure savings automatically. So you can do the whole 6-figure savings and the prep work of the Wealth Circle before the Wealth Circle starts. So there's plenty in there to do.
Yep. Okay, and kind of on that note, someone asked actually if we recommend doing 6-figure savings before joining the Wealth Circle, or if that content is covered in the Wealth Circle. But so you can speak a little to that, but just so you guys know, when you buy with the discount through the end of the year or today, I guess, you get 6-figure savings along with the Wealth Circle.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to do 6-figure savings. A lot of women don't who feel like they're just ready to do investing, but I think it's really worthwhile to spend dedicated time on each of those bottom 4 components because we do all 4 of the bottom in session 1 of the Well Circle. And then we spend the remaining sessions on investing, goal planning, and accountability systems.
Perfect. Okay, guys, I think that is about all the time we have. We went right to 2 p.m. So we're gonna hop off, but if we didn't get to your questions, like I said, we'll follow up via email, or you can shoot us an email or DM us on Instagram and we will get back to you. If you think of other questions later today, send them our way. We're always happy to chat. Otherwise, thank you guys all so much for being here.
Thanks, everybody. I just saw a Sarah Cannon say, see you February 7th. So see you there.